What's up, you guys? It's Ron here with the latest news on your $2,000 fourth stimulus check update and recurring stimulus check update. Firstly, according to this report, progressives are now seeing an infrastructure vote next week. Now, this means that we could actually be seeing a vote on the stimulus bill very soon. Since the setback last Thursday, there has been a momentum shift, and Democrats seem to be going all in now. Also, Democrats are seeking to make changes to President Biden's newly unveiled $1.75 trillion framework, as some programs failed to make the initial proposal. With the budget now set at $1.75 trillion, the chances of adding more programs while keeping the budget at the same price are very low. But the question is, can the Democrats pull this off? And lastly, according to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, the stimulus bill would lower inflation and reduce household costs. Now, if this statement is true, then the stimulus bill would be a massive help for us, as of course inflation affects everyone. We're going to discuss all of these and more in our video today, so definitely stick around to the end. But first, I want to say welcome back to all my subscribers. Really appreciate you guys. Hope you guys are doing very well today. For those who are brand new to the channel, my name is Ron. We cover all things personal finance, investing, cryptocurrencies, making money online, housing market crisis, as well as stimulus check updates and stimulus package updates. So if you haven't already, join the family, hit that subscribe button, and tap that notification bell. That way you're notified as soon as I release new videos and updates. Also, don't forget to check the pinned comment down below, as well as in the description. You will find some helpful links on generating additional income. Let's go ahead and jump right in. First up, here's your daily update on the reconciliation bill, aka the stimulus bill, which Democrats attempted to advance last Thursday. Now, a lot of things went down, but at the end of it, we just had another delay in the bill's progress. However, there's actually a silver lining to this. President Biden unveiled a stimulus bill framework, and Democrats are now using that to advance the bill. Now, according to this report, progressives are now seeing an infrastructure vote next week, which means we could be seeing a vote on the stimulus bill happen very soon too. What are the details on this? Let's find out more here. The progressives who bucked their president to block an infrastructure vote this week also lowered the bar for moving an even larger social benefits package at the heart of Joe Biden's domestic policy agenda. It's a two-step dance that's rankled party leaders in the near term, but simultaneously paved the way for quicker action on both proposals, perhaps as early as next week. Quote, "I don't think it'll take that long." This is coming according to Representative Pramila Jayapal of Washington, chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, said as lawmakers headed home this week without a deal. Now, it really has been an eventful week for the Democrats and the two bills, the bipartisan infrastructure bill and the stimulus bill. Last Thursday, progressives blocked the vote on the infrastructure bill to buy time for the stimulus bill. By doing this, progressives turned up the pressure to strike a deal on the stimulus bill now. New details have been released since then, which we will be going into later in this video. So, could their strategy be working? Congressional Progressive Caucus leader Pramila Jayapal thinks that it won't take long, and I'm going to take her word for it. With a vote set up as early as next week, we could be in for, some significant breakthroughs again soon. The timeline will hinge on the resolution of a series of outstanding issues still under negotiation within the family benefits package, as well as the drafting of legislative language reflecting those lingering decisions. But with much of the text already released and with Progressive Caucus already endorsing that legislative framework, the liberals say both bills could be on the floor in a matter of days. Quote, "We have the text, that's what we needed," said Jayapal. When progressives demanded legislative text this week, Pelosi and her leadership team on Thursday produced 1,684 pages of the Build Back Better bill. I gotta meet the person who's writing this stuff out. That's a lot of pages. So guys, this is an ongoing story as the Democrats are still engaged in the negotiations in the final details of the bill. Democrats have many priorities that they want to include in this bill, so this will take a considerable amount of time. President Biden did unveil a stimulus bill framework before leaving for Rome, but some Democrats want to change some of the details. In the next part of this video, we're going to discuss the modifications that the Democrats plan to make in detail. So stay tuned. Another good news here is that there is finally an agreement on the bill's price tag, which is now set at $1.75 trillion. We're now seeing a slimmed down version of what the progressives were initially calling for. Remember, this was supposed to be $3.5 trillion in stimulus bills. In fact, Senator Bernie Sanders even revealed that they wanted the stimulus bill to be at least $6 trillion. Now, of course, a $6 trillion bill wouldn't have garnered enough support, so we have the slimmed down version right now. Now, looking at the situation now, it seems like the progressives' tactics of tanking the bipartisan infrastructure bill to buy time for the stimulus bill actually work. We're now seeing more progress being made here, and there's also more active discourse among Democrats. A sense of urgency is certainly present here. As a result, some Democrats feel optimistic about this bill's next proceedings, including the possible vote next week. This is a change of mood compared to how things were before the setback last Thursday. I guess some Democrats now realize that the method that they used is working. Quote, "If we vote for the BIF, I think we lose the other bill," said Representative Juan Vargas of California. Quote, "I don't trust what the senators are going to do." Representative Juan Vargas is on point here. Losing support for the stimulus bill is exactly what would happen if the Democrats passed the bipartisan infrastructure bill first. So this is why Pramila Jayapal and the progressives are set to block the BIF until the stimulus bill is ready. However, some new information in this article gives some new light on the tactics being used by the progressives. Let's see here. Quote, "At the same time, progressives rolled back their policy demands and lowered the tactical threshold for winning their votes on infrastructure. While leading liberals had initially insisted that their votes would hinge on Senate passage of the larger benefits package, now some are saying that a spoken commitment from the Senate centrists, holdouts, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema would be enough to win their backing. Now, it seems like a commitment from the opposition, particularly Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, would have been enough to win the votes of some of the progressives. Now, this is understandable since the opposition is literally the only obstacle to this bill. A commitment from them to cooperate would be game-changing, and if they change their mind, this whole situation would be much, much different by now. As it stands, there's absolutely no trust for the two senators, and I can't blame the progressives for playing it safe here. Quote, "We now have text. We now know what's in it. We have a dollar figure," said Representative Jerry Connolly. "We pretty much have an agreed framework for how to proceed. I think the deal's done," added Representative Alan Lowenthal. "We're waiting to see the final language to make sure no one gets screwed." Amen to that. I think enough people have been screwed up to this point. Basically, Democrats are somehow in a good position to get things done now. The representatives are correct with their statements here. There's a dollar figure already, which by the way took much time to reach. There is also a framework which also took a long time to be produced. Now, what we're waiting for here is the final vote and legislation. These should be coming soon if proceedings go smoothly. Now, what do you guys think about this? Democrats have somehow turned a setback into a small victory and a quick turnaround. This is a turning point, and we'll be seeing a vote on the stimulus bill as early as next week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And by the way, I just want to thank you guys always for liking these videos. I really appreciate your support. It takes a while to put all this content together for you guys to make it entertaining as well as understandable. So I just want to thank you guys for always hitting the like button. Up next, more stimulus bill related news. And here's what you guys are eager to know about: the provisions of the bill. This time, Democrats are seeking to make changes on the $1.75 trillion framework as some programs failed to make the initial proposal. Now, with the budget set at $1.75 trillion, the chances of adding more programs while keeping the budget at the same price is kind of low. But what are the Democrats planning right now? Let's go into the details. It says here, lawmakers are hoping to make adjustments to the framework released Thursday in areas that include healthcare, climate, and paid family leave. But it could be a challenge given the positions of moderate Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, as well as a desire from the Biden administration to promptly enact both Democrat-only spending package and a Senate-passed bipartisan infrastructure bill. Quote, "No one got everything they wanted, including me, but that's what compromise is," Biden said Thursday. Now, this is where the Democrats will determine the real meat of the bill. Another round of negotiations is now set, and Democrats are now looking to modify President Biden's framework to include more priorities. Now, I wonder what they can still add in there, because at this point, it seems like there's no room for more programs. However, just as Biden said, compromises need to be made. So somehow they're probably going to be able to find a way. This is how negotiations go after all. Democrats have to work quickly though if they want to be able to add more priorities to the stimulus bill framework. A vote could be happening as soon as next week, which really isn't far away from today. People want to see significant progress on this ASAP, so Democrats have to consider that as well. Now, there have been some recent reports saying that Democrats are already floating around the idea of another stimulus bill right after this one. So even if Democrats fail to include the removed priorities from this bill, they still have another chance. Honestly, I think this is pretty good. Many Democratic priorities are popular with the people, so it's a win-win situation for us if they can get these programs signed into law, whether it be now or later. All right, so back to the current $1.75 trillion framework. Before we go into the short list of tweaks that Democrats want to make, I want to bring something up first. We have to keep in mind that Democrats are passing the stimulus bill through reconciliation, where we don't have to worry about Republican support. We only have to worry about those two individuals who I'm not going to mention their names anymore, who seem to be making things extra difficult. Democrats have to go through these senators if they want to include the changes we're about to go through. It's a tall task in and of itself, so I'm wishing the Democrats the best of luck on that. All right, so let's go into it here. Healthcare. One key addition that many Democrats are still pushing for is including provisions to lower the cost of prescription drugs. Drug pricing was left out of the framework released by the White House, with an administration official saying that they simply did not have the votes. But leaving the policy out would be a major blow to Democrats who have spent years campaigning on lower drug costs. Now, this is a stimulus provision that would have absolutely helped and improved the lives of millions of Americans. It's a known fact by now that the price of prescription drugs here in the US is very high. In fact, sky high. Many pharma companies are based here, yet they're charging the most to their fellow Americans. Really makes you wonder why. Now, there has been discussions regarding a scaled-back version of the provision for lowering the drug prices. It won't be as ambitious as the original plan Democrats wanted to execute, but it still has the same goal. However, there hasn't been a whole lot of progress on that due to a lack of support from Kyrsten Sinema. Up next, paid family leave. Many progressives and advocacy groups are also upset about the omission of paid family leave from the framework and are pushing to get some of that program back into the spending package. Other Senate Democrats have been trying to persuade Manchin to back off his opposition to include a paid family leave program. The push for paid family leave has been ongoing for a long time now. It even seemed like this provision was set to stay in the bill at one point, but then Joe Manchin happened and then it's out of the bill. This is another case of the opposition disagreeing with the stimulus provision. Democrats can't do anything but try to change Manchin's mind. The odds are low, but I bet Democrats won't give up until President Biden signs this bill into law. All right, so climate. The White House framework left out several climate provisions, including a fee on methane from oil and gas production that Democrats are still hoping will ultimately make it into legislation. The framework includes $555 billion in spending and tax cuts focused on combating climate change. The climate provision includes clean energy tax credits, a 300,000 member conservation jobs program called the Civilian Climate Corps and investments in clean energy and sustainable projects through an accelerator. Now, in general, the current details of the climate change policy look solid. However, Democrats are insistent on including a fee on methane, which they think would be an important way to cut pollution. Now, that's only one key missing detail here, but it is a critical one. We can see here that the administration is going all in to address climate change, and honestly, I can understand why. Democrats feel that the time to act is now, or else it might be too late. Now, with all these priorities that the Democrats have been pushing for, there is one thing that I've been looking for that I haven't quite seen news about yet. I'm talking about the possible next round of stimulus checks, the fourth stimulus checks. Democrats have been engaged in discussions regarding this before, but we haven't seen any big moves to include this in the bill yet. There are child tax credits in there, which are like stimulus payments, but for kids. However, that's still different. Hopefully, we can get something going very soon here. Now, as long as the bill hasn't been signed into law, our chances of another round of stimulus checks are not zero. Not to mention, if there is a fifth stimulus package, that's another chance. So don't give up on this one yet, guys. But what do you guys think about this, though? The tweaks that the Democrats want to make are popular with the people, so now I understand what they're doing here. These are also the programs that America needs as well. Now, I really can't predict how this is going to go since, Congress is very unpredictable. Will the Democrats be able to include these few changes? Drop a comment down below. Let's discuss this. All right, so last but not least, it seems like the stimulus bill also has some indirect benefits, which could be a game changer like the programs it contains. According to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, the stimulus bill would lower inflation and also reduce household costs. Inflation and rising prices of everyday goods are two alarming concerns affecting millions of Americans right now. Now, if this statement is true, then the stimulus bill would be a massive help for us. But what else did she say about this? Let's look into this here. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen told CNBC during an interview on Friday that the spending bill that Democrats are proposing would lower inflation by reducing household costs, including healthcare. Quote, I don't think that these investments will drive up inflation at all. First of all, they're fully paid for, and not by imposing higher taxes on anyone earning under $400,000 a year, but by asking corporations, high-income individuals to pay their fair share, and by investing in the Internal Revenue Service so that they can boost compliance, which has fallen to low levels. This is what Yellen said during an interview in Rome, where she is attending the Group of 20 conference. She outlined several points here. Now, if you guys forgot, the stimulus bill wouldn't be borrowing anything at all from the national debt to be able to pay for the programs that it implements. All of the funding, allegedly, is supposed to be paid for, and Democrats got creative in finding funding sources for it. One method is the tax hikes on wealthy corporations and individuals. This is a very controversial provision, so there could be some changes to it. But as it stands right now, this is one of the funding sources for the bill. Now, with that being said, having a fully paid for bill is definitely beneficial, as Janet Yellen said. Quote, for many American families experiencing inflation, seeing the prices of gas and other things that they buy rise, what this package will do is lower some of the most important costs, what they pay for healthcare, for childcare, and it's anti-inflationary in that sense as well, she added. Indeed, the stimulus bill does contain many programs that will help people save a few bucks here and there. Now, with the ongoing pandemic now, every single dollar counts, so these new programs won't be going unappreciated. However, we all know by now that another round of stimulus checks for everybody would be the best move. I mean, that's what we're all waiting for, right? The previous stimulus checks have tremendously helped millions of people get by, so I'm wondering why there isn't another round just yet. Implementing the fourth round of stimulus payments would reduce costs for people and really give a little bit of extra help here and there. Now, what do you guys think about this? It seems like the stimulus bill has some hidden benefits aside from the obvious provisions that it does contain. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, before we end today's daily updates, here's some non-stimulus bill related news to kind of change things up a little bit. Now, according to this report, wages saw the biggest 3-month jump in 20 years. Now, this is breaking news, guys. Now, just imagine how many people benefited from this. Let's learn about this here. Americans' wages saw the biggest 3-month jump in 20 years in the latest quarter, ending in September, according to available federal records. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported on Friday that wages increased 1.5% from the last quarter, and benefit costs rose 0.9%. In comparison, wages for workers had increased 0.9% in the quarter ending in June, and benefits costs rose during that time at 0.4%. Among the groups that saw the highest rise in pay included retail employees at 5.9% compared to last year, and hotel, restaurant, and bar employees at 8.1% according to the AP. Now, this is incredible news, guys. It took 20 years to see a massive jump in wages, but I'm not complaining. I guess it's better now than never. This comes as the service industry workers have been demanding better pay and better benefits during the pandemic. Seems like their efforts finally paid off here. Some big companies like Starbucks and McDonald's are even leading the way in raising wages to attract more employees due to the increasing demand brought by the gradual ease of pandemic restrictions. Hopefully more companies will follow suit, and as a result, we'll see more people getting back to work. So anyway, guys, that's all for the news on your fourth stimulus check update, recurring stimulus check update, progressives seeing a possible infrastructure vote this week, Democrats seeking to make changes to the $1.75 trillion framework, and Janet Yellen saying that the stimulus bill would actually lower inflation and reduce household costs. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. Hope you guys appreciated it all. If you haven't already, do like this video, definitely subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you're notified as soon as I release new videos and content, and I will see you guys on the next